Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. It's a shame we don't get news articles like this during the bear market, this courtesy of Rob Art here, when coins crash 80% and all hope is gone. For some reason, it's always after BTC has made new cycle highs. And guys, what he's referring to is this tweet here from Watcher Guru. SEC Chair Paul Atkins says all divisions are mobilizing to make America the crypto capital of the world. That was just from yesterday. And so, Bitcoin is retracing a little bit. It did just recently make a new all-time high back on Wednesday. And overall, the crypto market is tearing upward. This is the total market cap on the daily. As you guys can see, the total market cap, obviously, considering Bitcoin did make a new all-time high on Wednesday, total market cap is also seeing new highs. It makes sense that we're hearing these types of narratives coming from Paul Atkins, although I do understand Rob Art's point here. We shouldn't really be, shouldn't, couldn't. It doesn't, I guess it doesn't benefit newbie traders to be getting this type of information at this point in the cycle. It's going to be good for those who purchased a long time ago, and we're looking for that exit liquidity. Here's what Paul Atkins had to say.
So a couple of weeks ago, the administration issued the President's Working Group's report on digital assets in the United States, and there were clear directions to the SEC. We're part of the PWG, that President's Working Group, and clear recommendations for us to go forward and help make what the President has announced, his intention to make America the crypto capital of the world and have the world run on American technology. So we're mobilizing at the SEC all our different divisions and offices to focus on making that announcement become reality.
So making that vision a reality, we've been hearing this time and time again. The market has been moving. Like I said, we have seen a retracement recently. It's okay, guys, though. 120 million XRP were bought up by whales on this last dip. So this courtesy of Ali charts, you guys can see here. Whales have just been accumulating pretty much since August the 9th. Let's bring up the XRP chart real quickly here, and let's take a look at August the 9th. Where was August the 9th? Somewhere in and around here. So essentially on this dip here, we did see the dip continue down. So after what looked like a new retracement level here for XRP, after it did hit the 702, that's when we really started to see whales accumulating, especially down here in the 0.382. So now we're seeing that rebound in that candlestick in there. Again, that's the daily candlestick. That would be Friday, August the 15th. That to me looks like a reversal candlestick. So it's all making sense, guys. We have to keep our eye on the prize. Blockchain Backer also commenting, so far yesterday's liquidation was a back test. And so he was talking about 2 days ago when we originally did see that liquidation. This is the Russell 2000. And you guys can see after, I guess this is the 0.786. I can't really tell on that chart. Let's just bring up the RTY. And let's do it for ourselves. Why the heck not? Let's throw that on there, and let's bring up, just make sure we got it. Oh, no, we got to bring it down here a little bit. Okay, and you guys can see the 0.786. So we have been going down further. Maybe now we're going to see it actually retrace down to the 0.702 because now we have gone firmly below the 0.786. So this is now invalidated. We still will have to wait and see, guys. So now crypto market cap under that psychological level, the $4 trillion level, it is down by 1.69% just in the last 24 hours. Fear and greed slipping a little bit, 57 back into neutral territory. Altcoins, though, still at 42. Altcoins did take a bit of the brunt, but really ultimately, guys, just following Bitcoin. And of course, how is XRP doing? Let's bring up XRP on the chart. And let's see how XRP is doing. Let me just throw that on there. Okay, and this is the daily. Oh yeah, we were already talking about XRP. Excuse me. Well, today we've got one XRP going for about $3.11. It was hovering down and around the $3 mark again. So that significant level of support that we've been trying to uphold. But guys, this is all looking positive. This is a positive trend at the moment. I still think XRP has room to move up, but it's going to depend on if we are in a spec market or if we continue with real-world utility. There's a lot of factors suggesting that we will see real-world utility start to creep up in the next couple of months. And really, that's what's going to nail my price targets for this particular bull run. So my price targets are still in flux. You can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoney channel if you're interested in seeing where I think the market's going to go. That's where I give a more detailed explanation on my thoughts and feelings about this market. And it is only $5 a month. So I've rolled back prices, guys, but you got to subscribe and stay subscribed to lock in to the $5 price subscription. Even the latest Google search interest for altcoins is at an all-time high, guys. This courtesy of Cointelegraph. You can see that there. More and more people, I mean, of course, as price is going up, more and more people are interested in this type of thing. But, really, this is all speculative stuff, which, I mean, is good in one way. It is a little more predictable and making market moves and deciding where price is going to go next. But a lot of this, guys, is really going to depend on how the market moves based on things like this. Kevin Cage bringing this up. Holy crap, from 175 million to 1.13 billion. Are we reading this right? In real-world asset value over the XRP ledger. So this was a tweet that he posted back on August the 8th. And as you guys can see here, these are some of the networks, the RWA league table. For some of these networks, you can see bigger networks like Ethereum were up to $7 billion, and the XRP ledger was only at 175.9 million. Only, 2 weeks ago? 1 week ago, excuse me. This was on the 8th, so it was about 8 days ago. And now, guys, this is where we're at today. If my calculations are correct, the XRP ledger is a decentralized layer 1 blockchain, crypto native, and real-world assets designed for it's a little cutoff here, but basically just gives you guys a synopsis here. Trusted by over 1,000 visionaries, builders. The features enable secure, efficient, scalable. Can't read that word there, but the community is dedicated to transforming this. And guys, the RWA value, $1.13 billion. So it's already looking like the XRP ledger is really gaining traction, really gaining value. And it could be that XRP becomes like one of these companies. Andrew DeVilbiss with an interesting observation here, an interesting take on how we could in fact see XRP become more valuable vis-a-vis Ripple. So this is a bit of a different perspective here. Wow, I cannot believe what I just heard. He says, while listening to all the podcasts and hosts begin to speak about finding compounding companies to invest from venture into late-stage public companies, could it be that XRP will do the same? I'm going to play you guys this clip, and they're talking about venture capital and major companies in this clip. So it isn't about XRP specifically, but I want you to listen to this so we can extrapolate some similarities and discuss after the clip is done. Listen to this.
Is saying that the power law winners continue to accrue. In fact, not only do they accrue as private companies, and then if you get one of them, you have these 14x funds, but as a public company, they continue to accrue. And so, this isn't just limited to being a venture investor. Pretty much anyone has access to the public markets and can make the decision that they've made a bet on a power law winner. There were a lot of people who were very vocal supporters of Palantir, very vocal supporters of Uber, of Spotify when these companies went public. And a lot of people said, no, they're overvalued, they're naysayers.
I think the problem that you would have had trying to implement this strategy is it would not have been clear what you would have been underwriting. What would you have been underwriting at NVIDIA for, not the last 5 years, but the many years before that? You would have been underwriting video games.
Video games, yeah.
And you would have had this very odd data center business that didn't make sense, that, Jensen took a lot of heat for, that he had to defend. And it didn't actually make a lot of financial sense. So I'm not sure.
I will give you a counter to that, and I'll call him out and I'll make fun of him now. My co-founder at Climate Corp, his name's Suraj, he's probably listening right now. He bought NVIDIA years ago on the thesis that these GPU chips would eventually be used for AI models because he did all his work at Stanford in distributed computing. He did early work in AI. He was very close with them.
But that's different than what you were saying before. I get it. He's a smart guy who made a huge winner, but I'm saying...
But no, the problem was he sold NVIDIA too soon because he's they're not actually
okay, but I'm just saying, there was probably a person that was as smart as Suraj and bought Intel, and there was another person that bought AMD. I'm not sure what the point is. Here's the point about venture that I think is worth noting. It's an exceptional market that gives the practitioners an incredible edge if you build a business around the information asymmetry that accrues.
Yes, the information asymmetry that accrues. So they begin to speak about how hard it is to find these companies due to the irrelevant nature of their beginnings. So, you got to think about Ripple in the early days. They weren't doing too much. They were talking about cross-border payments. But even the fact that, in the early days, they couldn't even use cryptocurrency to do this because it wasn't legislated. Taking NVIDIA, for example, starting off creating chips for video games is the example they use there. And so Andrew DeVilbiss says this is my exact thesis for investing in XRP in the hopes of acquiring Ripple stock upon their market entry. The host then goes on to say, say after you build a business this big, your job is to then create an asset collecting fee generating machine. We didn't get to that part in the clip, but I will link this in the description for you if you want to listen to the full thing. There's only about 8 seconds left. If this doesn't sound like the XRP ledger and the automated market maker feature, then I don't know what does. Everything they said right here in this 2-minute section screams Ripple and XRP to me. So guys, it could be that we are experiencing something similar. The U.S. Treasury Department also did come out with a presentation back a couple of months ago. So this is a TBAC presentation, the Treasury Department's Treasury Borrowing Advisory Committee, and they actually mentioned Ripple's RLUSD as one of the reserve stablecoins that they are going to be holding. Cash and U.S. Treasury-backed coins. So the types of stablecoins they're going to be holding, USDC, RLUSD, and PYUSD. So these are backed by traditional assets. And then backed cryptos, they also do name a few here. But, another example of where we're starting to see a lot of this come through here. Here's the actual document, and I will leave it in the description of the video for you guys. So they mentioned some of those major stablecoins dominated by major cap issuers like Tether and Circle. Total stablecoin market capitalization currently sits at about $234 billion. But I think we're going to see that number jump quite a bit in the near future. Just the other day, Brad Garlinghouse did comment on the fact that he thinks RLUSD will be in the top 5 by the end of the year. If you guys didn't catch the video I did on that, I'll link it up here. Okay, Bill Morgan, guys, also commenting on this. Wellgistics. We talked about Wellgistics a few months ago and how they were introducing XRP. I think it was in their treasuries. Well, they're now seeking to leverage XRP for payments in a $1.4 trillion pharma trade market. So cross-border healthcare payments, they usually take 3 to 7 days and cost about $20 to $50 per wire. But guys, XRP has the potential to enable low-cost, near-instant global payments. Our platform is being designed to harness this functionality for future cross-border healthcare use cases with robust AML and KYC compliance to ensure secure and compliant transactions. And boom, Wellgistics is doing this. So not only are they incorporating XRP, I think it was for their treasury. I'll see if I can find the video and I'll link it up here. But now, guys, they're actually using it for their cross-border payment functionality to pay for pharmaceutical products. So global pharma trade is worth $1.4 trillion plus, yet cross-border payments remain inefficient and error-prone. So guys, if this is one company that's going to do this, could you imagine if the entire pharma industry eventually followed suit? Because this is a global problem. This has to do with healthcare, and in a lot of countries around the world, this is not taken care of by the state. So here you go. It's starting, guys. The real world utility is starting in so many different facets and so many different industries. Confidential institutional investor presentation, Swift being upgraded to Ripple, okay? So I just want to remind you, this is how the system is moving. Traditional finance, moving to digital technologies, and Matthew Lemerle here explains just that. Listen to this.
There are many use cases now, very successful investment use cases, and I won't go through these in detail other than to say very briefly that there are good reasons why a lot of value is being captured. So if you look at number one, as I already mentioned, we need infrastructure to allow for the digitalization of finance and commerce. And that's being created by companies with names like Anchorage and Fireblocks and Kraken and so on. And these are digital custodians or wallets or marketplaces. And we're investors in all of those, are ones that we show as examples here. In terms of monies and commodities and assets, the same thing is true. We're taking things like Swift or Visa or MasterCard, and we're upgrading them into digital equivalents, which have names like Ripple or Yellow Card. And we're digitalizing monies like the US dollar into things like Tether and Circle, and we're an investor in Tether and Circle as well. At the commodity level, we can take gold, and you can buy and sell gold physically or through derivatives like ETFs. But we're now tokenizing gold, so you can buy and sell gold over digital wallets and digital infrastructure with things like Pax Gold. So we can do it with traditional commodities. Of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum are new to the world commodities, and we were early investors in them as well. And then you can do it with any other asset. So we can actually take any asset, like the example here, a money market fund from BlackRock. We can tokenize that and make that money market fund called BIDL be available in digital infrastructure anywhere in the world, 24/7.
So a few interesting concepts there, talking more broadly about tokenizing, but also saying, the money transfer is moving from the traditional forms like Swift, Visa, MasterCard, and it's moving to companies like Circle and Ripple. So guys, this is, again, where we're moving. So, the real world utility is creeping in. Where crypto is at. So Ripple's Marcus and Fangio released an interesting post this week about tokenization and SPVs on the XRP ledger that may have escaped a broad grasp. Here's an attempt to understand what this article is about. Here is the article that Ripple did post recently, August the 12th, so just from last week. The long-term promise of real-world asset tokenization lies in native issuance. So assets that are born digital, enforce compliance through code, and move seamlessly across decentralized rails. But just as early financial markets didn't leap straight from paper to fully electronic systems, today's tokenization landscape is following an incremental path. Legacy structures and legal frameworks still play an important role in helping institutions engage with blockchain infrastructure at scale. While we build towards a more integrated future, the shift from physical to digital assets has never been a single leap, but rather a more gradual and iterative process. And then it gives some background there. Today, we're seeing a similar transitional architecture emerge in blockchain-based finance. Special purpose vehicles, or SPVs, are playing a huge role in digital stand-ins, holding real-world tokenized assets such as treasuries and other financial services, real estate, or credit instruments. Guys, this is what we have been waiting for. This was, all lore before, and now, guys, we're actually seeing it being created on the XRP ledger. So the article considers SPVs, the legal shell companies that own real-world assets. SPVs can issue tokens on the XRP ledger, or any ledger for that matter, representing claims against their assets. The key is that token holders' legal rights are against the SPVs. So the SPVs must handle all the compliance issues, custodians, auditors, transfers, etc. With SPVs, the token is just a symbol of the financial machinery holding the asset, but the asset has to be backed somewhere. So when regulations catch up to technology, we can envision a future where the machinery of an SPV is not needed because the laws recognize the ledger as the single source of truth. In that case, tokens issued on the XRP ledger natively would be the legal instrument and not require an SPV. It would leap in streamlining how value moves. In addition to legal clarity, the XRP ledger needs to offer native programmable compliance, KYC clawbacks, transfer restrictions, etc. I believe permissioned domains and extensions also fit in this vision, all working to regulate the proper flow of funds. If when law and tech meet in this way, Infander expects a leap forward in finance. So this is where it gets interesting. Similar to the 70s and 80s, when securities law recognized the electronic book entry system like DTCC and Euroclear, and the process became more electronic. Until then, SPVs are scaffolding to bring the current financial system onto the XRP ledger. So it is going to happen in stages, guys. So why now? I think the article is less about immediate product news and more about framing Ripple as both compliant and visionary, appealing to regulators, institutions, and crypto communities at the same time. I mean, despite that, like Kevin Cage mentioned back here, we have now seen RWA value being transferred over the XRP ledger at 1.13 billion. I guess that is still relatively small potatoes if you think about it in a where was the thing there? Yeah, if you think about it in the larger sense. We are still early on. We are in the in-between phase, the time of SPVs as we head towards a crypto native world. So crypto native, when are we going crypto native? How long is it going to take, and how much XRP is going to be needed to move all the value? Well, guys, I wanted to bring you this clip too from the Paul Barron show. We know Sal Gilbertie from Tucrium. Here's what he said on Paul's show. Listen to this.
Biggest XRP catalyst that you think will happen? I mean, the banking license, one, sure, for Ripple. Obviously, we've already seen quite a few, but there's also involvement in potentially a SWIFT movement in terms of cross-border payments. What would be your catalyst that you think would move the market?
I think those are both catalysts. I think that it's hard to say. If they get approved as a bank and then announce they're not going to sell any more XRP onto the market because they want to capitalize the bank, I think that would be an enormous impetus for price. That's gigantic. But then I think as SWIFT breaks down and ISO 222, I think that they're not projecting SWIFT to use it for a few years yet to be totally compliant with that. Whereas I think that when Ripple flips all the switches and all these NDAs they talk about come alive, and when you start seeing banks announce, we did this much on the blockchain ledger in terms of moving your money, and we did this much on SWIFT, and the SWIFT is going down and blockchain's going up. I think that's a big deal. And there's another point to be made here for the economy as a whole. Most people don't understand that banks have to keep capital in both places. If you want to send money from Miami to Tokyo, okay, banks have to have money in Tokyo and money in Miami under the current system. That all goes away All
Yeah.
that capital is going to be freed up with the blockchain. That's going to burnish the bank's balance sheets even more. But more so, they're going to be able to loan money. They're going to be able to finance their trading desks. It's going to open up so much capital to economic growth in general around the globe. It's a wonderful thing. The blockchain is literally going to open up value because it's going to unlock a lot of frozen money on the bank's balance sheets. And that's really important. Nobody seems to be talking about that.
So a lot of great points here from Sal Gilbertie, but I wanted to bring up something that he said right at the beginning. I don't know, maybe you guys missed it.
If they get approved as a bank and then announce they're not going to sell any more XRP onto the market because they want to capitalize the bank, I think that would be an enormous impetus for price. That's gigantic.
An enormous catalyst for price to go up, as Sal Gilbertie says here, is removing XRP from the markets. Now, guys, this goes back to Shane Ellis theory. Billions in XRP are disappearing from exchanges. Is the Shane Ellis theory playing out? And is Sal Gilbertie saying this could, in fact, happen? Well, he did suggest that it could. And for those of you guys who don't know what this is, in a nutshell, let's cut to the core. Blockchain analytics platforms like CryptoQuant and Whale Alert show that between June 16th and June 22nd, 2025, Binance held this much in XRP reserves. You guys can see the numbers here between 2.85 billion and 2.24 billion. Upbit held about 1 billion. Bitstamp held anywhere between 50 million and 9.8 million. And Bybit and Bitfinex saw tens of millions drained. So that's nearly 6 billion XRP. Where did it go? Most indicators point to a mix of cold wallets. But this isn't mere speculation. It's an observable, measurable exit of liquidity from platforms. So is the Shane Ellis theory back from the grave? If you've been around XRP circles long enough, the name Shane Ellis carries myth-like weight. Back in 2018, Ellis made a bold claim that a mere 39 million buy order could catapult XRP to $500 if executed correctly on a thinly liquid market like Bittrex. The thesis: centralized exchanges have shallow order books. If you target one with a large enough market order, you'll chew up through every ask, pushing the last fill price up exponentially. Once that price spikes, bots and arbitrageurs drag the other exchanges to match. And so a bit of a mix of Shane Ellis theory, but also, guys, what if Ripple does do this? What if they do get approved and they do say, well, now that we are approved, we need all the XRP we can get our hands on, and all the crypto exchanges that are now, by the way, under legislation, because now we're in a new world where all these crypto exchanges are being legislated by the government. Now they all have to comply with banking rules. And so now they say, oh, I guess we got to remove the XRP from the exchanges. Could this, in fact, be the catalyst to bring XRP up? Teucrium founder Sal Gilbertie doesn't think it's too far off. He actually mentioned this as his first example here of how XRP price could get to the moon. I don't know. It's just a theory, and if you want to explore more theories, find me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel, guys. I've rolled back prices, and this is where I'm discussing my plans to exit for this crypto cycle, because we still are technically, in the moment, in a spec market. That could change, boom, like that. So find out what I'm talking about over there at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. Only a couple of weeks left, guys. The Working Money Channel merch store is offering 15% off all Working Money Channel merch. So if you guys are interested in purchasing, I don't know, maybe some Bearable Guy apparel or an XRP mug, maybe a Working Money Channel hoodie, check it out. Link is in the description of the video. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.